the Portland Trailblazers his entire 11-year career. That despite having multiple opportunities to chase rings elsewhere. Dame said in a recent interview the only thing he hasn't provided the city of Portland over the course of his career, a title. Dame used Dirk Nowitzki as an example of a player who's stuck with one team and eventually did bring them a title. Shannon, do you think Dame made the right decision to stay in Portland?
I do. Selfishly, Skip, I wanted him to go join someone because I want to see him on that stage at least once. But he believed he can beat. I think the thing is for him, Skip, he said, well, I think if he was sitting here, he would say, well, Sharp, what makes you think that if I go join somewhere, we're going to win a title? It's not a foregone conclusion because as we've seen in the past, we saw what happened in Brooklyn. We saw two guys go link up, and it didn't happen. And they even brought a third guy in there, and it didn't happen. We see James Harden go to Philly, and it didn't happen. Who's to say it's going to happen? I think he's really, really happy in Portland. But as he's mentioned, he doesn't get the respect that he deserves because he is in Portland. And he hasn't, I don't think he's come close to winning the title. I think he got to the Western Conference Finals 2019, and they got swept 4-0, and that's the closest he's been.
That was it.
The thing is, Skip, is that when you look at Dirk, well, Dame, you got to hope they get you a Tyson Chandler, a guy that won Defensive Player of the Year, and they get you a Jason Kidd who was a little old, longer in the tooth, but understood how to run the team.
He did.
And Jason Terry that gave you 16 points a game off the bench.
I agree.
And you had Marion, who was a defensive guy, Deshaun Stevens, who was a defensive guy. Your problem is you guys, y'all can score, but you can't stop anybody. And you look at D. Wade. D. Wade averaged 27, but Shaq, the year before, Shaq probably should have won the MVP. And that year, he was 20 points, 9 rebounds, 3 blocks. Had Jason Williams, Antoine Walker, Gary Payton, and Alonzo Moore in his vets. Looking at the way your team is constructed, Dame, I don't see you winning a championship. But I don't know if championship is his ultimate happiness. I think doing what he's doing, being great in his community, Portland and in Oakland, where he's from, being a great role model, being the family man that he is, I honestly, Skip, I think those are more important to Dame than winning a title, especially winning a title elsewhere. Now, winning a title in Portland, Skip, there's something about winning a title in for the team that drafted you.
Yep.
If you remember, Skip, LeBron went back to Cleveland to do just that.
Yep. So
for me, I think, and a lot of other fans, I think a lot of people say yeah, he should have left, but they're basing it on what they would do. Knowing Dame the little bit that I know him, he's really at peace, Skip, in this decision.
I agree.
he really is.
Yep. I don't have any problem with the choices that he continues to make to stay in Portland. When this contract is done in another couple of years, he will have made $500 million. So he
made the right decision.
Yeah, that works. He loves it there. I think it's a great place to live. I love Portland.
Yeah.
I could live in Portland. Again, I couldn't do what we do here,
right.
But again, it's a good place with good people. And they love their basketball, and they love Damian Lillard the way no other city loves its star any more than they love theirs.
I agree.
And I've read a bunch of quotes from him. The Athletic had a bunch of quotes that Dame talks about. We devalue people's body of work if you don't win a championship.
They do.
Okay, I got it.
They do.
And he goes on and on about, I've given them 11 good years. I've given them every ounce of myself for 11 years. And he said, we've won a lot of games, and I've always given them something to cheer for, and I've always been available. He plays. He's durable. He's had a couple of injury issues. He had an ab injury last year. But for in the main, he's been available.
Yes.
And he said, we're in an era of how many rings you got. Okay, in the end, that's all we got.
That's all that matters.
Okay. But he even goes into the Barkley syndrome. He says the way people talk about Charles Barkley is just crazy. It's Charles Barkley. It's crazy because Charles doesn't have a ring.
Like I said,
it's to all your points.
They don't realize how good he was.
Is everything you keep talking about. He has, to quote him, he has represented the organization and this team as well as anybody has represented their team. I buy that. 1,000%. Can you make the case that he's very comfortable being a big fish in a smaller pond? Well, sure, he is.
Yeah.
Because he's making, not good, he's making great money in a place it's a good place to live, a good organization to play for. And I think he's got one of the best coaches in basketball in Chauncey, and we both know Chauncey, and I believe in Chauncey.
Yeah.
Chauncey's not the GM. Chauncey can't snap his fingers and get a co-star and a second co-star. So they're doing the best they can. They got a few pieces, but they don't have enough.
He needed a Kevin Durant to say, "I want to go to Portland."
That is correct. That's what he needed.
He needs something like that, Skip. He needs a power move like that. Somebody that wants to come join him, because I don't know, Skip. Look, there have been very few guards. Steph Curry, Isaiah Thomas. Magic is a big guard. Magic. I mean, so we set Magic aside. But when we look at guards, Skip, 6'3" and below, there've only been a handful that's won a title as the lead. Steph Curry and Isaiah Thomas. Think about the history of the NBA. Only 2.
Like Tiny Archibald you brought up with
But
Bird.
he was Bird.
Okay, I got it. Okay. It was in Bird's
first year. No, it was second year.
Second year,
yeah.
Okay.
The 81 season.
But Cornbread was the MVP.
Okay,
all right. But
Larry Bird had 2 games in which he scored 8 points. They ain't none of my business, though.
Okay, but he was your favorite.
He was, but I'm just saying, just goes to show you, even the historically great, because you've been preaching for the longest time, only LeBron James has played bad in NBA Finals, and I just wanted to throw that out there. There was another historically great player that had 2 8-point games in the NBA
but he
Finals.
was still a baby by NBA.
I ain't no baby, stop that.
He was in his second year.
Skip, he was 25.
Okay, because it took him 5 years to get through college.
Yeah, because he left
Indiana. He wasted
Indiana.
one at Indiana, right?
Yes.
Okay, back to Dame. Just for the record, I'm going to tell the truth as I see it. I think he actually has a great reputation around the league. He's really done the Dame time and Dame Dollar.
Yeah.
And he can rap.
Yes.
As far as when I talk to rappers about who can rap, which athletes, they always say Dame number 1.
Right.
Like he's gifted. Like he can actually do it at a high enough level that it's recordable.
Yes.
It's sellable.
Yes.
Okay, so he's got all this going for him. But he plays up the Dame time and he plays up the distance shooting, because I've told you, he is the best distance shooter I've ever seen beyond Steph Curry, because he's got a little more easy range than Steph does, because he's a stronger man to me than Steph is. He can logo shoot it like it's a free throw.
Yeah.
I've never seen anything like it.
You definitely won't find anybody who can get harder than he can.
No, you won't. I mean, Clay
can get hot, but
I don't know. All right. Now, here's the truth. To keep this in some perspective.
Okay.
When I looked at his postseason resume, it's difficult because he hasn't had that much. He had CJ as his running mate.
Right.
And it was sort of those two against Steph and Clay when they met in the 2019 finals. But if you look at the body of work of Damian Lillard in the postseason, it's just not great. It doesn't measure up to Dame time.
Right.
Because his postseason winning percentage is now the second worst of any current player to CJ, who's now gone obviously on to New Orleans, but they were kind of partners in, so to speak, crime.
Yes.
And in 2019, I can show you. I got a list. I don't want to read it.
They had the lead in all those games and ended up losing.
They had the lead. They had 4. They got swept. And I'm looking at the scores going to the fourth quarter of those games. Game 2, they were tied. Game 3, they're down 3. And Game 4, they led by 8 going to the fourth quarter, and they lost all 3 of those games. In the fourth quarter of those 4 games that they got swept in, Dame went 5 of 17 from 3. He just wasn't great.
Right.
Neither was CJ.
No.
But neither was Dame.
Right.
But to your point, it falls onto the 6'3" shoulders of Damian Lillard. You're going to have to carry.
Because Skip, the best player always going to get the blame, whether he's at fault or not.
Okay. I got a litany of these like late shots that he's missed. Remember, they even got blown out by, they got swept by the Pelicans by Anthony Davis.
Yeah.
That was one round where Anthony was dominant.
AD went haywire, though. He was like,
this is 2018, Western Conference first round.
Yeah.
AD went haywire in a good way.
Yeah.
And Dame missed a shot with 15 seconds left. I got a whole litany. I've got 7 or 8 shots where they were potential walk-off Dame time shots that he missed. Now, he made a big one against Russ in Oklahoma City. Okay.
One in Houston also.
Okay. He made one in Houston. Okay. So he's been hit and some misses.
Right.
He hasn't been great in the postseason, and I don't even expect him to be great because he's in Portland and the ceiling is low. He's going to be bumping his head on the ceiling because they're just not good enough.
It's really that simple.
Chauncey, as good as I think Chauncey can be, he's still a young head coach.
Right.
Well, he can only you can only do so much.
Yeah.
Right.
Nurkic can't stay healthy.
No.
Who's a big presence, but he doesn't. He didn't provide what Shaq provided for D Wade.
He did not.
He doesn't provide what Tyson Chandler provided for Dirk.
He's not bad, but he's not that guy.
He's not that guy, and he can't stay healthy.
And they've got some nice young players. Anthony Simons.
I like Simons. I like Shaden Sharp. And they got some guys.
They got some nice pieces.
Yeah.
They're like a 500 Western Conference team.
Yeah,
okay?
but Skip, you're not going to win. You can't. I don't believe the way they're constructed. They're not winning the title.
Okay, so some guys are just built different. He is at peace with playing here and playing at a very high level individually and putting on great shows for the home team.
Right.
But can he do what Bill Walton did for the whatever year it was, 77 Trailblazers, when he was the MVP of the league? He was the MVP of the finals.
Right.
Bill Walton, people don't because they think he's just some goofy, crazy guy. But he was sensational.
He's an MVP.
He was a dominant player because he's, I don't know if he's quite 7 feet. I think they list him at 6'11", but he's one of the best passing big men you'll ever see.
He was
and you want to talk about extremes.
His feet robbed him of what he could have been.
That is correct. And you mentioned he wound up in Boston.
As the sixth man.
Coming off the bench because he was kind of a shell of himself, but he could still play because he knew how to play at a high level, especially with Bird.
The only thing I would say, Dame, you're never, and he said it before, he's not going to get the respect, the adulation that he rightfully deserves without a title.
No, you just won't. Okay, it's just the way life works.
People have put titles against a mediocre guy can have multiple titles and they think he's better than a historically great guy, that's not the case.
No. Agreed.
Dame has made it sound like he's okay with that, though, that he's committed and staying in Portland regardless.
Get that money, Dame.
All right, gentlemen, let's move on. Exactly, the check cashes. All right, guys, let's talk about that Sixers home loss
let's talk about that. Let's talk about that, Jen.
I'm ready.
Do we need to go to break before we talk about it?
No, we can do it right now if you want to.
You can't tell.
I'm ready.
Skip and Shannon are ready for
Talk about the MVP, Joel Embiid.
No.